Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
A nation joins together to pray for the families of the fallen in Arizona. I'm Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs with Liberty Counsel and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law. In today for Matt Staver, and joining me in studio is Shawn Akers, Dean of Liberty's Helms School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Well, Shawn, yesterday we talked a little bit about this horrible tragedy in Arizona where a madman, Jared Lee Loughner, is alleged to have taken the lives of 6 innocent human beings, is alleged to have attempted to the assassination of a congresswoman in that state, Democratic Congresswoman Giffords. And we talked a little bit yesterday about how, unfortunately, there are political operatives on the left who have, while the injured were still in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, wasted no time in coming out to try to leverage this horrible tragedy for their own political gain. I think we hammered that home pretty heavily yesterday, and I think that reasonable people across the country on both sides of the aisle, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, are coming together really to condemn that type of politicization of such a horrible tragedy. But I want to focus today on what we should be focusing on and what we should have been focusing on through the entire time and throughout this tragedy, and that is the families and friends of the fallen and the lives of those that were taken as well. In addition to, first of all, the latest that we have is that Congresswoman Giffords appears to be, who was apparently the shooter's main target, is holding her own, and doctors are saying that her survival in large part was due to the response of a young man named Daniel Hernandez, who was her new intern. But we also want to focus on some of those who were taken. For instance, a young man named Gabriel Zimmerman, one of Representative Giffords' congressional aides. He was engaged to be married. Federal Judge John Roll, who was scheduled to come and sit on the bench of Liberty University School of Law's next moot court competition here, and so we obviously send our condolences to his family, and we join with him in mourning the loss of this federal judge. Precious little 9-year-old girl, Christina Taylor Green, who ironically was born on September 11th, 2001. Shawn, she came in on the day where there was a national, an act of terrorism that brought the country together, and her life was taken in a tragic and act of terrorism that also gripped the nation. Phyllis Schneck, a homemaker, she was the 79-year-old widow with 3 children. Dorwin Stoddard, a retired construction worker, who, according to our friends over at Family Research Council, they put out a statement on this, will be remembered for ministering to sick people through his church. Dorothy Murray, 76, who was with her high school sweetheart husband when she was killed. So we definitely need to join together in praying for the families of those specific individuals as we as a nation mourn this horrible tragedy.
Matt, it's so easy watching this on TV to make it two-dimensional caricatures of people rather than real flesh and blood people. But when we look especially at this little Christina Taylor Green, you're immediately reminded that these are people's sons and daughters and husbands and wives and mothers and fathers. These are real people that got up one morning to go to nothing more than a political rally to talk to their congresswoman, and their lives ended that day. And that doesn't just shatter the lives that were ended, it shatters the entire families for months and sometimes years. People got telephone calls that day that said something had happened to one of their loved ones. People got telephone calls and saw on the news things that involved their loved ones, and they couldn't do anything about it. And we are very hard-pressed to find anything more important right now than the opportunity to reach out to them, to keep them in our prayers, to ask God to bring peace to those situations, because there's nothing that can fill the void. You have daughters, I have daughters. I cannot imagine the pain that father goes through. I heard him on one of the news channels, and I asked him how his day had gone, and he said that he had gotten up that morning, he had cooked his little girl an omelet, that his wife was taking their son to karate practice, and a neighbor was going to take this little girl who had just run for a little office in her school down to see government in action so she could meet one of those that she admired, one of those government leaders that she admired. And the next thing that this guy gets is a call that his daughter's gone.
Yeah.
This really is a reminder for us about what this is all about.
Well, and we need to also, we shouldn't mince words here. This is an act of terrorism. Now, I'm not sure that this man had the mental capacity to really even. I think he knew what he was doing. He knew right from wrong, but I don't know that he was trying to make any political statement as much as he was just insane. And as all the evidence comes out, it appears that he clearly was deranged. But this type of attack on a political figure like Congresswoman Giffords, on these innocent people that were there gathering at a political function to share their political opinions and have a discussion, a town hall discussion, that is an attack on all Americans, be they Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. And unfortunately, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, the mainstream media, which is very liberal, and leftist blogs and political operatives and activists leveraged this horrible tragedy in order to try to score political points. And that, I think, is another tragedy that has come out of this whole thing. Instead of focusing at the time on what we needed to be focusing on, instead of what we saw on September 12th, 2001, the day after September 11th, where Americans came together and it galvanized us as a people, we saw people trying to use this to continue to divide us as a people, and that is an additional tragedy. The good news is, however, that I think even the left and the mainstream media is starting to realize that they overplayed their hand here, that they have really blown it with this whole thing, and many are already starting to dial it back a little bit. Some aren't. Some of them are so invested in this that they're not dialing it back. But I think that they'll be, I hope, I don't know, but I hope they'll be reluctant to try to politicize something like this, some horrible tragedy like this in the future.
Well, you've got more hope than I do there, Matt. When we talk about things on this program like the sanctity of life and why that's important, it comes up at times like this in ways that we wouldn't think about ordinarily. Because if you think about it, those that would shamefully politicize this event, this tragedy, have very little understanding of the sanctity of the lives that were lost there, or for that matter, the sanctity of the life that's suffering from some sort of mental problem, defect, something that's caused this event to take place. We are looking at flesh and blood people that mean something to someone, that are created in the image of God, whether they acknowledge Him or not. He knit them together in their mother's womb. Every single one is precious. When we talk about things like the sanctity of life, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, join with us at Liberty Counsel as we pray for these families, as we reach out to those who may disagree with us from a political standpoint and say, join with us in putting aside politics. On this particular instance, join with us to pray and mourn this horrible tragedy and pray for justice for those who lost their lives. Go to Liberty Counsel to find out how you can become part of our ministry. Go to our website at lc.org or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Join with Liberty Counsel today.
been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.